Hey, this is Steve from Flowmaster. I'm happy to introduce our new Delta Force cold air intakes for the 09 through 17 Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500, all equipped with a 5.7 liter Hemi motor. Now our Delta Force cold air intakes have a washable, reusable high flow filter that already comes pre-oiled, black powder coated heat shield, a durable polyethylene intake tube with a nice rib design and the Flowmaster logo right here in the center, reinforced silicone couplers, anodized fitting, all stainless steel hardware, and this thing built right in the factory mounting points on the vehicle. Now the tools required for this job are 7/8 wrench, 7/16 wrench, 5/32 Allen, 5/16 socket, 13 millimeter socket, a ratchet, and a short extension. Now this is also dyno proven. Now I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get this installed in this Ram here. Okay, we got our 2013 Ram 2500 Power Wagon here. Let's get ready on the disassembly of the stock airbox. Okay, we got a couple things we got to loosen, and then we got to disconnect the sensor. So the first thing is we're going to loosen this clamp up right here off the throttle body. We're going to disconnect this sensor. We're going to pull off this breather hose, and then the stock airbox is just going to lift straight up because the airbox is sitting on 4 grommets. There's 2 grommets right here, and then 2 grommets underneath the box. Okay, we're going to start by loosening this clamp up. Okay, next we're going to remove the sensor. You basically just got to squeeze it together and then pull, and it'll disconnect. Next we're going to remove this breather hose, and it's just going to pull right off. Okay, next we're going to just take the airbox and we're going to lift straight up, and we're going to take it off this 4 grommets. There's 2 grommets over here and 2 grommets underneath the airbox. So we're just going to have to just wiggle a little bit and it'll lift right out. Okay, we got our stock airbox off. Now we're ready for the new assembly of the Delta Force cold air intake. Okay, we got our Delta Force cold air intake laid out on the table with our necessary tools. Now we're ready to start first with the heat shield here. We're going to go ahead and install the air filter adapter. This is going to go on the inside of the airbox. We're going to line up these 3 holes, and then we're going to use an Allen bolt with a flat washer and a lock washer. Okay, we've got our air filter adapter installed on our heat shield here. Now next we're going to install the mounting brackets. Now this is going to allow the cold air intake to bolt to the factory mounting points on the vehicle. So the first bracket we're going to start off with is this guy. Now this has got 2 holes, and we're going to line up with these 2 holes, and it's going to go on the inside of the heat shield. Now with the supplied hardware, we're going to use an Allen bolt to go through the bracket and then through the heat shield. And then on the back side here, we're going to go ahead and install a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and just snug it up just barely. And the reason for that is we actually want to allow for some adjustment, so you know the proper location where the bracket needs to go so you can bolt to those factory mounting points. So we're just going to just snug it up, leave it loose a little bit so you allow a little adjustment. Next we're going to install the next bracket. It's got 2 bolt holes, and then this one here has got 1 bolt hole. This is going to go on these 2 holes right here, but it's going to go on the outside of the heat shield. So basically it'll be going like this. So first we're going to install a bolt, and then next we're going to install a flat washer, a lock washer, and then the nut. Okay, next we're going to snug this bracket up just like the first one. We're going to go ahead and leave it just a little bit loose so you allow for some adjustment when you go to put it inside the vehicle. Okay, we got this third bracket here. It's got a big hole down here and a smaller hole. The smaller hole is going to be the mounting point that's going to go on the bottom side of this heat shield, and it's going to go underneath just like so. Now from the inside, you're going to take the Allen bolt, and then we're going to go ahead and install the flat washer, the lock washer, and then the nut. Again, like the other brackets, you're going to go ahead and leave this loose, so when you go put it in the vehicle, you allow for some adjustment. Okay, next we're going to install the trim around the heat shield here. Now the trim will come in an excess length. You're going to have to trim it to make it fit your heat shield. Okay, got our gasket on our heat shield here. Now we're ready to go ahead and install some parts onto the intake tube here. Okay, first we're going to start off by putting the grommet into the hole here. Let's go ahead and just push this through. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and install our reinforced silicone couplers onto our intake tube here. The first one here, it's got the hump. This is going to go on this end here. It's going to have the anodized fitting adapter. So we're going to go ahead and just push it on. The next coupler here, we're going to go ahead and put it on this end with the grommet. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and install the anodized fitting into the intake tube. Now you want to make sure you put some Teflon tape on the end of this, and then you can go ahead and screw it in. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten it up with our wrench. Okay, now we're going to set this aside. Now there's a couple parts you got to take off your stock air box. First part, you're going to take off the stock air box. It's going to be this little rubber grommet right here. You're just going to pull it off. Now next, we're going to disconnect the sensor. Now it does have a little tab right here. You're going to have to pull up on it and then twist it counterclockwise, and it should just pull right out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install the sensor into the intake tube. Now it does help if you have maybe a little grease in there or some kind of lubricant to help push the sensor into the grommet. So we're just going to go ahead and just push it in. Okay, now I've got the sensor installed. Okay, now we're going to put our grommet that we took off the stock air box. It's going to go onto this bottom bracket on the cold air intake. And you're just going to go ahead and push it through. Okay. Okay, now we're ready to get the heat shield installed in the truck and get our final location for the mounting brackets. Okay, the new Delta Force cold air intake, it's going to mount into the factory mounting points on the vehicle. So the first one's going to be this bolt right here. We're going to have to remove this bolt. And then there's a stock bolt right here on the core support. We're going to have to remove that one. And then there's that grommet on the bottom bracket, and it's going to sit on this stud down right here. So first we're going to start by removing this bolt. Okay. Next we're going to do this bolt that's right here on the core support. Okay, this is the bolt out of the core support. Now we're ready to go ahead and get our heat shield in here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the heat shield in. Okay, with the stock bolt, we're going to go ahead and install it back onto the fender well here. Okay, next, we're going to go ahead and install the core support bolt back through the bracket and into the core support. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and final tighten up the brackets onto the heat shield here, since now we got them all in the factory mounting points. So we're going to first start with this bracket right here. We're going to go ahead and put our Allen and our wrench on the back side. And just go ahead and tighten it up. Okay, next we're going to do the bottom bracket. So from the inside here, we're going to go ahead and put the Allen. On the bottom side, we're going to put the wrench. Okay, and the next one we're going to do is this bracket here that goes to the core support. So the wrench is going to go on the inside, and then the Allen on the outside. Okay, we've got our heat shield now bolted down to the factory mounting points of this vehicle. Next, we're going to have to remove this breather hose. We're going to start by removing this engine cover first. Okay, the engine cover here, we're just going to lift up, and we'll just unsnap. And we're just going to pull it out. Okay, next, we're going to remove this breather hose here. Okay. Okay, next, in the kit, we're going to get some new breather hose. It's going to come in 30 inches in length. You're going to have to trim it down to about 27.5 inches. Now, the one end of the breather hose is going to go on over here next to the oil fill cap. I'm just going to press it on. Okay. Next, we're going to route it across the manifold right here, and then we're going to put the engine cover back on. Okay, now our new breather hose is going to come out in this factory notch on the engine cover. Now we're ready for our intake tube to go on. Okay, we're going to put our intake tube on. And this one end is going to go right down on the throttle body. This other end, we're going to put it on the air filter adapter. Okay, now we're going to make sure we tighten down the silicone couplers. We're going to press it down all the way on the throttle body. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten up the clamp here. Okay, now we're going to make sure this silicone coupler is pressed up against the heat shield, and we're going to go ahead and tighten up the clamps. Okay, we're going to put the breather hose onto the barb fitting here now, and just presses right on. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and connect the sensor. And this guy will just snap right back in. Okay, now we're ready for our air filter. Okay, now we're going to install the new air filter here. Just going to slide on to the air filter adapter. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten it up. Okay, that concludes our installation on our new Delta Force cold air intake. Installation is roughly about an hour. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow Flowmaster on Facebook, Instagram,